You're listening to Were You Still Talking? All right. So in the studio today, in the Massive Castle studio, I have Brian. Oh, I do this every time. How do you pronounce your last name?
Haimbach.
Haimbach.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. German.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Very German.
Writer, actor, head of the theater program at Lane Community College. He's done a good deal of work at Oregon Contemporary Theater. He was last seen as Dan in Next to Normal, and it has directed numerous shows, including last season's Hand to God. Actually, that was a couple seasons ago now. Is that right? Or was that last season?
Yeah. No. Yeah, it was 2 seasons ago.
He also, at Lane Community College, will direct a rock and roll adaptation of the Oresteia, new and improved. Last summer, now this is the amazing thing. You have your own show, How to Be a Sissy, which you were able to go to Edinburgh Festival and perform thanks to the Oregon Arts Commission. That actually is pretty incredible. How was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, it was life-changing. I mean, that sounds like a simple way to put it, but yeah, it was incredible. It was Scotland and Edinburgh are just the most beautiful places I've ever seen. So yeah,
awesome.
It was a wonderful experience.
And had you been there before, or was that your first time
No,
there?
I had been there before. I took a group of students from a former school to the festival just for a week just to see shows. So I at least was familiar with the chaos. But the festival itself is 5 weeks. It's the month of August.
Okay.
And we were only there for 1 week. So it was obviously a very different experience being there for the whole festival. And I was there alone, so I was doing all the PR and performing and everything myself. And it was, I can't say that I'll ever do that again.
That sounds pretty tough.
Yeah,
like
it was intense.
And fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible. It was, and the best thing about it was that was actually my honeymoon.
Sweet.
Yeah, my husband and I had gotten married July 1st. It was actually 2017. And and then, so I was in Edinburgh for a month, and then he came over for the last show, and then we drove around the Highlands for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't there while you were busking and doing 20 shows a week.
It would have been nice. I think, yeah, but
well, that's not the best honeymoon.
No. But the real honeymoon was after when we drove around the Highlands, and it was amazing. Scotland is just beautiful. Yeah, everything. All those pictures on Highlander or Outlander, I should say, are accurate.
They're real.
They really look like that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It is just
definitely on my bucket list of places to visit.
I recommend it highly.
I would love to go there. There's a lot of those on my bucket list.
Yeah.
So how long have you been the director of theater now at Lane Community College?
Believe it or not, I'm going into my 8th year.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't believe I've been here that long.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually can't believe you've been here that long and I haven't run into you just because the community's so small
it is
here.
A small community. Yeah,
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, the theater program keeps me pretty busy there because I direct one show a year, and then when I was moving to town, Craig Willis, the artistic director at OCT, he and I have a mutual friend. So I sort of had that connection with him, and then, I started working at OCT, and between, directing or being in a show once a year there, and then doing a show once a year at school, that's about all I have time to do.
I can imagine.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a lot.
It is.
I mean, I know as an actor that's a lot because that's taking on a whole bunch more.
Yeah. So that's kept me busy. I mean, I try to see shows around town as much as possible, especially when my students are in them. But there's just, when you do theater, it's hard to get out to see theater.
That's true because you're working. I know that's true.
And on your days off, sometimes the last thing you want to do is sit in a theater.
Is go sit in a theater.
Yeah. So
It really,
Makes it hard.
it seems like we have a lot of good theater in Eugene.
There's a lot of it, yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, shoot, one of my couple, but mainly one of my students just started a brand new theater company.
Awesome!
Yeah, doing. I don't know that to say it's a new theater company is completely accurate, but their mission is to address suicide, to discuss, just to open a dialogue about suicide, obviously to hopefully prevent it in the future, but, to minimize the stigma in discussing it and things. So they just did a show last weekend at the Blue Door Theater on
That's
campus.
awesome.
Yeah, it's called Curtain Call for All. Yeah. Find them on Facebook. They're doing some important stuff. They're still working out their performance aesthetic and figuring out exactly what they're going to do. But ultimately, they would like to be going into the schools and
that would be
doing
great.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, they got news coverage. I haven't gotten any news coverage since I've been here. You
were in the weekly.
Yeah, no, I mean TV. I mean they were in the TV. I mean
the real news.
Yeah, the news that people might actually get some people to come see your show. Yeah,
but that's awesome because that's a really that's an important subject.
Yeah,
I mean it's gotten it. I understand why it's so prevalent, I think, in the U.S., perhaps. People seem to, most news coverage is hard to watch, and people seem to ingest a lot of it. Yeah. So it's a tough to keep away from the darkness sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to know
I think that's been one of their challenges is how to use theater and performance, which is usually a very jovial kind of, celebratory experience to discuss a difficult issue. But, there's a lot of theater like that, applied theater, that sort of category of theater for social change and personal growth and enhancement is used a lot. So, it's going to be interesting to see where they take it and what avenues that they're able to find and take advantage of. So, it'd be cool.
Yeah, that sounds very cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of the thing that the theater program at Lane does, because the Student Production Association is, it's not a traditional academic program in terms of the production component of it. It's all run by students. So that sort of, hey, let's put on a show mentality is really kind of prevalent there. And it has been since the Student Production Association began, years long before I got there, So
right, that's really awesome, though. That's a great program to have because I know a lot of programs are not like that at all. Yeah, you're kind of at the will of the director or whoever. Yeah,
or the theater faculty or whatever.
Right, or whatever it is.
I feel like I'm at their whim, and it's inverted the equation, But
that's cool.
That's good. Yeah,
what a good way to learn.
It's great. Yeah, that's the strongest component of our program. You can come there and hit the ground running. You don't have to compete with upperclassmen or even grad students to be on stage or to design or whatever. So it's and we have a supportive audience space. I would really like to grow the audience space. I felt like. I feel like when I got there, it was kind of operating on a community theater model as opposed to an academic program model,
That's interesting.
Because they were doing...
So what's the difference?
Well, at least half the people on stage, or at least the impression that I get is that at least about, many, many, many of the people on stage were community members, were not students in the program.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't a really strong connection between coursework and production. And I've tried to strengthen that simply because, not because I wanted to minimize any element of that, but because it's important to make the theater program viable. Because if the theater program doesn't exist, then SPA doesn't exist, So I've really tried to strengthen the relationship between coursework and production, I'm always advocating for, current students to be cast in shows, even though, maybe they're not the strongest actor at the moment. But at the same time, I feel like, everything goes on a pendulum. I feel like we've kind of swung heavily in that direction. And I would like to come back to being an organization that is a little bit more, in touch with or symbiotic relationship with the community, having more community actors in our shows. Because I'm still getting emails from people or Facebook posts saying, "Oh, I didn't know you let community people audition for your shows," and that just makes my jaw drop because that's always been the case. There's never been a time when that was not the case.
Right.
And I can only think that they're comparing us, to like 4-year schools that don't allow community members in their shows. Like it. I'm pretty darn sure that U of O, you have to be a U of O student to be in their show. But obviously they hire in people, they hire in professionals.
Right.
When they, if they're doing King Lear, I doubt they're going to cast a 20-year-old. But
I think I've seen one audition in my 18 years of being back in Eugene for the U of O program.
Yeah. That was open to
anyone.
Public.
Yeah.
And they were probably looking for older actors.
They probably were. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way their program operates, and that's the model that works for them. And that's the most common model among academic theater programs. I mean, it's I would venture to guess that probably community colleges are going to be a lot more open to casting community members. I mean, it's in the name of the school, it's a community organization. But yeah, we do work with the community extensively with guest artists, where even though SPA is a student-run organization, we still hire in professional directors, and when we have the money, we hire in professional designers and that kind of stuff. So it is, we do it, and I'm always using guest artists from the communities to help co-teach my classes, and so it's there. It's just that selfishly, I kind of think if we had more community members in the shows, we might have more butts in seats, because, at the risk of sort of putting some negativity out there in the ether, attendance at our shows is really lame. We don't get nearly the audience that I think we should. But PR is a full-time job. And that, that's tough.
Right.
But
it is. And
I don't know that if we put tons of money and time and effort into marketing, that would really make that much of a difference. Places like VLT and OCT or whatever, they have huge subscription bases that their audience members know what they're getting, from year to year. And we're a 2-year school, ostensibly every 2 years, every year it feels like we have a brand new group of students around running things. And our mission is highly directed towards education, so, I'm not going to, I'm not selling anything to anybody that would be inaccurate. Our production values and our they're not going to be like they're going to be at OCT because, we have some people who are on stage for the first time.
Right.
But still, it would be nice if there was a little more community involvement. But I guarantee you, every theater company in the world says that.
Probably thinks so.
Yeah. So,
and I do think it makes a difference who's in the show.
Definitely.
How big, how many friends they have, and
well, Tara Wybrew, who's I can't keep track of her titles. She's works at Oregon Contemporary Theater. I think associate producer is her new title, but she's kind of like second in command at OCT. And when she directs a show, there's a marked difference in attendance because people are coming out to support her.
Right.
And that's great. I mean, that's community. Theater is a social thing, so that's great. But you're right. It would be the same thing if we had, a big name in town in one of our shows. There would be a lot of people come out to see them. But the theater community is small, and Eugene is small, so it's just hard to cultivate that, consistency and audience member from year to year, or even from show to show.
Right.
So,
yeah. And so as far as that goes, I wanted to just touch on I always touch on social media a little bit with my guests.
Yeah.
You have a pretty big social media. What is it?
Let's just say I'm bored a lot. And
Is that what
I post a lot of crap. Yeah.
Well, you post a lot. You have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
You have and you have
probably
a second site for your show. Is that something you've just done over the years, or
Yeah.
how's it?
Well, you just
How's it get that? And it's funny because most people. I hope this doesn't offend you or anything, but most people I see with that many people with that big of a following are much younger. So
Yeah, sure.
It's impressive.
Well, I like to travel, so when I go somewhere, I meet people and friend them, and that's a good way to sort of keep track of people. The Facebook page for How to Be a Sissy was just that only came about when I was going to Edinburgh, and it was all just marketing. Mm-hmm. The only reason I have a Facebook, an Instagram account is for marketing for How to Be a Sissy, and I have a Twitter account for that, but I don't use it that much because Twitter's not, I used it a great deal in Edinburgh, but Twitter is massive in the UK. It's not nearly as big as it is here. Here it's not nearly as big as it is in in the UK.
Wild.
It is the bomb. Every day. And even here in the US, it's a lot more common. It's a lot more frequently used by in the entertainment industry. So that's where that came from. I don't know that I've even logged on to Twitter since I've been back from Edinburgh. But all the social media stuff, I got big into it in promoting How to Be a Sissy in Edinburgh. And it sort of just stayed that way. And then, my husband and I just spent 5 weeks in San Francisco. So we met a lot of people. And, the first question, once you realize you might kind of want to talk to them after tonight, you see if they're on Facebook and you friend them that way. And my husband is really good looking and has a massive beard, and most gay men have this major fetish for big beards.
I see. It's just a common thing with gay men. Okay. I thought it was something that you came up with.
Well, no. A lot of gay men do a lot of traveling around to sort of gay events or whatever. And when you're there, you meet people and you friend them on Facebook and Instagram or whatever. I imagine I probably have like 100 new friends because I was in San Francisco for 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that's, it's fun. I mean, it's a good way to keep track of people. I'm not technologically oriented myself. I usually fly into a big purple fit whenever I have to do anything that has to do with technology. I despise it. I resent the fact that you need a degree in computer programming to be a citizen. But
right. Oh, I agree with that. Even though I'm a techie.
Yeah.
I think your mic is falling.
Oh, I can get it. There we go.
You're not getting shorter.
Da-da-da.
I need to tighten this, I believe. Uh-oh, I don't know which way. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
There.
Cool.
That'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Fun techie stuff, gentlemen and ladies.
Yeah, well, I can handle that. That doesn't require a degree to tighten a mic stand.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not so sure about that.
Well, that's true. Probably, that's true.
Worked with a lot of musicians.
Well, I'll give you that. Yeah. But no, the whole social media thing just sort of grew and grew and grew. And it is getting easier to use. The better the programs are and the better phones get, and
right.
So it's a huge sucker of time, though.
It's a huge sucker of time, which is why I always appreciate it when I see someone like yourself using it in a more positive way. It seems like almost everything you post is positive stuff, and you're promoting things that need to be promoted, or that's nice. And so I like it. That's I like to see that.
Mostly my dog.
My
dog, Wilson.
Your dog and your husband.
My dog is
things.
Just because I don't like
gorgeous areas.
I don't like pictures of myself, so I put pictures of my dog all the time.
Think I'm there's a lot more pictures of my cat on social media than myself.
It's the way it
if
works.
my dog was still around when I got on social media, she would have got all the attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And with filters, and I love filters, so it's nice to take a picture and then make it look awesome. Like, wow, look what I did, But
right. Yeah. It's fun to play around with it. Absolutely.
But mostly it just comes from moving around a lot and traveling a lot, and that way you can keep in touch with people that you met that you wouldn't be able to otherwise.
That's true.
So that's fun.
That part is, I think, great. Yeah, I hear a lot of sort of negativity around social media stuff, and I always think, well, use it in a different way, and maybe it won't be negative.
I also don't like the hyper-positive stuff, like, oh my God.
I do know.
You are great today,
Yeah.
I have a few friends,
that as
inspirational stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's like, okay, fine. But
Yeah. My inspirational stuff is someone in a horse costume on a trapeze. That's inspiring.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the stupid, funny ones. Yeah, that's good stuff.
And that one kind of blew me away, yeah. Or the dogs running around in other animal costumes.
Yeah.
Dressed as a different animal. There's been a couple of them that were just hilarious.
Yeah.
So acting, directing, writing, you actually have a doctorate in really in all three, right?
Well,
your doctorate is in theater.
Yeah. It really a doctorate in theater is more geared towards literary research and criticism and that kind of stuff. But I went to the University of Georgia, and I sort of the joke, probably not really a joke, is that I did my best to turn my PhD into an MFA, because I was able to direct twice for course credit, which there are some PhD programs, when you look at the program description, they explicitly say you cannot do anything practical while you're in this program. So,
wild.
Yeah, it's all
research,
it's all theory,
critique,
history, theory, and lit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I wanted that. I wanted that part of it, but at the same time, that's not all I wanted. The joke, I have a lot of jokes about my PhD program, is that I got a doctorate so I wouldn't be a dumb director, not because, and I've ended up in the community college system, which I've found is perfect for me. But most people in PhD programs, probably their goal is to end up teaching history, criticism, or theory at, a huge state-supported university, college university, because that's who's doing most of the hiring of PhDs. But yeah, I was lucky. My PhD was very practical. I went to, at the time, University of Georgia did have a playwriting program, so I got to work with playwrights, which became, well, actually, that kind of started in my master's. I got my master's in Las Vegas, and I went there because they had, and still do, they had an MFA playwriting program, but they did not have an MFA directing program. Okay. So I knew there'd be a lot of playwrights around looking for directors.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to direct new plays and new works. Or at least now,
interesting.
20 plus years after I went to UNLV, that's what I tell myself about why. I tell myself that's why I went there. That was my evil plan, but,
Well, from what I've been hearing lately, we don't really know what happened 20 years ago because of the way our brain works. But that's a whole different thing.
I would agree with that. But anyway, so yeah, the PhD was very, critically based. I had to write a dissertation and all that stuff. But I was very lucky that I got to do a lot of practical stuff while I was getting my PhD.
So directing is really, that's your passion.
It's my biggest thing. It's what I do most frequently. I am finding that I really want to act more. Yeah, I do. I enjoy directing. I love directing. But I especially love directing in places like OCT when I don't also have to produce.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're able to concentrate on one job, it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
The acting, directing has always blown my mind.
You mean at the same time?
Yeah,
Someone
at the
who
same
doesn't,
time.
That's not
Doing
that is
acting and directing, I
insanity.
understand, but acting, you're directing yourself, and then being in a play or any production
That's
where
insanity.
you're acting. Yeah,
It's
that
insanity.
just seems like
There have been directors.
Whoa.
There have been directors who, contacted me, wanted to direct a show at Lane, and also wanted to be in it. I was like, nope, you can't. It doesn't happen. It does not happen.
Right.
Not just to mention Tech Week. How the hell are you going to do Tech Week if you're, you can't direct during Tech Week. If
That's
you're
a
in the
really
show.
good point. Yeah,
Even if you have two lines in the middle of the final scene, you cannot direct during Tech Week. So
right.
it's crazy. Film's different, but
Only a little though.
least, yeah.
No, it's a lot different because whoever is there, there's someone else there to do the directing job when you're acting. Really,
and you can watch
lot of
yourself. You can
right. You can
watch
see
the
what you're
videos,
doing.
and then
Someone
see
else
it,
is
but-
doing Tech Week. You're
yeah,
not the.
yeah.
Oh, well, sometimes. I actually know Paul Bright does it all himself, so
Oh,
that surprises me.
that's it's a lot of work.
It's a lot
I just don't
of
want to work that hard.
Yeah.
Basically, there's nothing that's worth that much work.
Yeah. Well, I think the same thing. I have dreams of directing one day, but I like acting as well,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't want to do both.
Well, the older I get, the more I do want to act. And most of that is just because I'm teaching so much. Before I came here, I taught in South Carolina, and I was teaching. I was only teaching 2 acting classes a term, and here, that's 90% of what I teach. So I'm just finding, as I teach more acting, I feel the need and the desire to do it more of it myself. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
Yeah.
sort of, because obviously acting makes me a better acting teacher.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I think it goes both ways.
Yes.
Teaching makes you a better actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anytime you're breaking down the craft, I think it makes you better at it.
yeah.
I know a lot of actors don't think that, but maybe they're not that good.
Well, or they're not
Well, and
willing to put the effort in.
Yeah, they're not
or they're
willing,
doing
or
it for different reasons.
People have different methods.
Yeah.
Because, I've been in plays where there's literally 4 people in the play. Their way to get there is all completely different, and somehow it still works. Still get there.
But that does take a strong director
Yeah, it's
to
true.
get you there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thankfully we had one.
That's good. Yeah.
Oh, somewhere I saw that you're a fan of The Boys. Is that true?
I liked it on Facebook. I've seen half of an episode.
Oh,
I haven't watched it yet.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I
I was
probably
going to ask you something about
did that
particular
No,
show.
don't ask me anything about that.
Okay.
I really liked the half episode that I saw, but I probably liked it on social media to remind myself to watch it.
Oh, I do
Because
that
there's
sometimes,
like
sure.
a ton of stuff that I'm like, I had been meaning to binge Fleabag all summer, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah.
Someone told me about the Boys. Someone I don't normally trust, maybe workmate, and so I thought, well, let me give it a try because I really like the lead bad guy, good guy, one of the leads, and so I thought I'll give it a shot, and I was completely blown away, completely blown away by the concept, by the production, by the acting, by the it just really blown away. But I was going to ask you about this guy's accent, but since you didn't watch it yet, you wouldn't know.
Sorry. Yeah.
And that was going to segue into, did you...
So I foiled your whole plot by being such a poser.
That's always a good thing, though. Unplanned is always better in this situation.
Okay, good. There you go.
Did you do anything to... did you ever have an accent living in Georgia? Did you ever have to do anything to undo it?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like you have much of one.
No. As compared to the people I grew up with, no, I don't. I don't really know. My father was from New Jersey, but my parents divorced when I was 3, so it's not like he influenced me, unless 90% of your sort of linguistic ability is synced before you're 3. But yeah, I grew up around people with really, really thick accents, but maybe it is some of the acting, because my undergrad was all in performance-based theater. I was going to be a musical theater star, but no, nobody in my family really has all that thick of an accent, even though we all grew up in South Carolina.
That's interesting. So it's just your part of it's your family. Probably.
Get me drunk or get me on the phone to my mother, and it comes out.
It'll come back.
And I can pull it out at the drop of a hat, but I don't know. It's odd. I would love to say it was all my awesome training that erased it, but not really. I have had acting teachers, telling me that I needed to minimize my accent and or record myself before I get rid of it, with the implication being that I needed to get rid of it. But no.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's never really been that big of a thing.
And I only ask because I've met quite a few actors who actually went to an acting teacher or a coach to try and work on not having an accent.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just one of the things. I do think, I hear it more and more when I'm out of the South. And I'm very aware of it. Just a couple minutes ago, I said something and I was like, "Ooh, that was Southern," but no, I don't know.
I don't notice much of just maybe a hint, but not much at all. And that's pretty South Carolina.
South Carolina is pretty South.
Pretty
It's not. Well, I grew up in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is one of the bigger towns. So, it's not like I was in Campobello or, some really podunk place or Gaffney, God help us. But yeah, I don't know. It's a quandary, but I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it because I don't want to.
Well, that's
I'm like, okay, great. And there are actually times I wish it was thicker, just to, because I don't have to not have an accent because I'm not a professional actor,
Right. Well, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a couple times in my solo show where I just really whip it out just for effect, and that's really fun. But
okay.
Yeah.
And how are you? So you're still doing that show?
If anybody asks me to, I will.
Okay.
Where are we? How long ago is it? I did it as a benefit for spa last year. A friend of mine, a producer friend of mine in Seattle, is trying to get me a venue and a date sometime in the fall. Probably be winter. So it's still there. Percy rears his head about, once or twice a year. And that's all I ever really intended.
Right.
I wrote it to try to, and maybe I should keep working on this, but I wrote it to give myself a New York performance credit because
interesting.
If you don't live in New York, I mean, how the heck are you going to get any New York credits on your resume?
Right.
And I could, if I really took the time to pursue that, I could, because there are solo festivals and there are places that, that focus on solo work and queer work that I could do it. I just haven't spent the time to do it. And I also wrote it to try to travel and help offset the expense of travel,
Right. Well, okay. That's cool.
Doing a solo show is not going to pay for me and my husband to take a trip to Australia, But if I make, a couple hundred while I'm there, that's worth it, And when you do travel, it just gives you a way to interact with people at a more heightened way. You get other theater people too, and so stuff. Yeah, I met some awesome people in Edinburgh, and so that was the thing. The goal was never to, conquer the world and make myself a star or anything. It was just, it was really quite cathartic writing it, and it's writing it and performing it. Especially performing it in Edinburgh, where I did it, every day for 26 days. It was a very cathartic experience. A big topic is about overcoming bullying, and so it was a lot of personal growth, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. Yeah, it's actually probably more the kind of show that would be more effective for like youth groups, like queer youth groups. Although I really hate the slogan, the whole "It Gets Better" campaign. That was. I guess it's kind of died because I haven't seen much of it lately, but it put out for queer kids, about, you might be bullied now and all that kind of stuff, but it gets better. There's a whole hashtag thing, which it really sucks. I mean, it's kind of like, suck it up, buttercup. Your life sucks now, but it's going to get better.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's just put up with it as opposed to the fuckheads who are doing the bullying need to change.
As opposed to let's move ahead and not be such monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
The whole fact that that's still still an issue at all still blows my mind. I mean, this was something my parents were working on. This is something we thought we had a good grasp on 30 years ago. And it seems still, I mean, I think it has gotten somewhat better. You would know better than I.
It would have to. I would think so.
My God, it shouldn't be an issue.
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think it should
be. I mean,
I
hear my nephew, when he was in junior high school, was talking about, in South Carolina, talking about friends of his that were out, like in junior high school. And oh my God, things definitely have gotten better.
Because that was, when I was in junior high school, I didn't know of that at all. And it's obviously...
I didn't either, and I was one,
So obviously they were there because they didn't just pop out because it's 2019.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think things are better, but, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, as we've seen with
everything.
The election of our president.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow, that just put a pall on the conversation. Trump rears his ugly head, and everybody has to
pause, silence.
Yeah.
That's my only rule on this podcast, which is not my rules don't have to be followed, but I just steer away from politics only because I'm so far to one side.
Yeah.
Like so many of us are. Mm-hmm. And so why, you can listen to plenty of people on other podcasts and TV talking about what I would say.
That's a good rule.
And I would just go into a rant.
Yep.
Who wants to hear more of that? Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Rant all day long about whatever we're talking about. Could be politics. So have you been on a podcast before?
Yes.
You have?
I did in Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh? Cool.
Yeah. There are lots of podcasts. That was one of the things that was kind of a funny little quirky surprise about that. There's a lot of... Edinburgh is, for those of you who don't know, and it would not take a second to realize this once you went onto the website to buy tickets for a show with the Fringe Festival, it's largely stand-up comedy.
Interesting.
I would say it's 3/4 stand-up comedy. Mostly people from London.
Okay.
Comedians from London coming up to promote their careers is largely what it is.
Oh, okay.
And it's
interesting.
Also, the main purpose of the Edinburgh Festival Fringe is to sell liquor to British people. It's actually, that is what they do. Of course, probably...
I think that's the purpose of most festivals in America, but it's to sell liquor to American people.
Well, no. In Edinburgh, it is all about... They sell liquor everywhere. Beer, and nobody could drink like Brits. I'm sorry. It's,
Wow.
We Oregonians love our IPAs, but no.
But we're not real drinkers.
No.
I know that.
Not at all.
Sure.
No. But anyway, so where was I saying? About something.
It was about Edinburgh and podcasts.
Podcasts
in Edinburgh.
So since there are all these stand-up comedians, and because putting together podcasts is very portable, or it can be.
It should be. This is not a good example.
No, I mean, your setup here is like far more extensive than most people would have there. Their big deal is trying to find a quiet room,
Right.
But
which isn't even necessary, I'm finding. I mean,
cool.
It helps.
Yeah.
But if you're
Great.
in a quiet room or if you're in a louder space and you say, we're podcasting at the festival in Edinburgh.
Yeah, you do.
You helped it.
It does.
Yeah.
It does do that. But anyway, so I was on one there. A comedian. She was actually doing a solo show.
Mm-hmm.
Did, I don't know, was it always her talk? Oh, she is what's the word you would call her? She is in a poly relationship, which means that
Poly relationship.
there are a polyamorous relationship.
I've heard of that, but I forget
has
what it means.
More than two people in the relationship. So,
Okay.
Marriage or a partnership, but not marriage because it's not legal anywhere, but a partnership between more than two people.
Mm-hmm.
So her podcast was about poly relationships. Yeah. And yeah, so I just did it to promote my show. So
of course.
Yeah, she posted a thing on her Facebook page about wanting people to come chat about their relationships. So I did. Yeah, I went and just talked about my recent marriage and how it was sort of like the cool thing for gay couples to have babies these days and how I was not having babies. And so, yeah. So I did that one. Yeah, this is only my second one.
Cool. Darn, I was hoping it was first. Not that it matters.
Well, it might be the first one that ever sees the light of day because she said to me she was going to send me links to it, and she never did. And I went on her website and I never saw it. So,
oh well, I will send you a link, and it will see the light of day.
Okay.
And as this is my
so just edit all that out and just say yes. This is my first podcast.
Yeah, thanks for coming on my podcast for your first ever podcast.
Yay!
Yeah, there's a lot of, I've been very encouraged lately, not only because my friend's very encouraging, but I've made it to episode 17.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is great. But I've heard that there are thousands, not just dozens or a few, there are thousands of podcasts that never make it past 10.
Oh.
And that barely get a download.
That surprised me.
Yeah, it really surprised me. Surprised the
many?
heck out of me. But it's still very new. I mean, I'd only heard about it because of Shittown. Otherwise, I would never have heard of it.
Yeah.
And then, well, I had some dark days myself because of different things I was going through.
Yeah.
So I was listening to podcasts, and someone on a podcast said, "Oh, anyone can do this." And I went, "Oh, yeah? Let's find out."
Yeah.
So, yeah, this equipment is, it's ridiculous. It's for miking drums and bands. I mean, this is a 16 input board. Now, it is portable because with this device here, which can bolt into a nice rack case, and the laptop and a couple mics, I could go anywhere. But you can also get a device like this big that'll have two inputs on it. That could go anywhere.
Yeah,
so
that's
it
what
doesn't take much.
That's what I did before. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just those
and that's what I encourage. I started out trying to tell people about podcasting. This is my little podcast tech of the day. I started out telling people how easy it was. Anyone can do it. You don't need all this equipment, blah, blah, blah. Now that I've heard a lot of podcasts, I kind of am backpedaling and saying, at least get some nice mics.
Yeah.
Spend a minute and learn a little bit about EQing, and you'll have a much better sounding podcast.
There's a podcast that I really like. I won't name it, but it's because it's a very specific topic. It's about creating new theater, and it's a topic that I love, but I just yesterday decided I wasn't going to listen to it anymore because the sound quality was so bad.
And I have that problem with like what was one of the biggest podcasts on iTunes for a little while. Tim Ferriss, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he wrote a couple books, and so he's been doing podcasting a while. But he'll grab a handheld mic and give his guest a handheld mic and not even think about making it decent. So sometimes I have a hard time getting through it. It's like, oh man.
Yep.
Oh boy. Yeah. Spend a minute. But you're going to sound great.
Awesome. Cool.
Tell you that. That much I know.
Sweet.
So how How to Be a Sissy is that a life story of yourself? Is that combine people?
So it started as a 10-minute play.
Wow.
It actually started as I was involved with a group of writers in South Carolina, and our task was to come up with 10-minute plays to read at to make a long story short, as to be read for the public as part of another show.
Okay.
So I had two separate ideas. I was like, I have these autobiographical monologues that I would like to string together as a show, but I also have this alter ego named Percy Q. Shun, Percy, middle name Q, last name Shun, who wants to teach people how to be fabulous. So I was meeting with these writers. I would write a little bit of those from each of those concepts, each of those characters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I just don't know which one I want to do. And then one of the writers was just like, well, why can't you do them both? And as silly and simple as that was, I was like, duh. So what it then became was I picked 3 specific moments from I started to say early childhood. I guess it wasn't that early. From like 3 through 5th grade, and ninth grade. And I was like, these are the important elements. These are the 3 stories I want to tell about my life. And then Percy's first lesson was always about how to do hair. And then I realized that piggybacked well with the story of how I used to do my sister's hair.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Percy has 4 lessons, and Brian comes out and has 3 monologues. And so Percy's lessons piggyback with Brian's autobiographical stories.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You hear that, Seattle? Sign him up.
Yeah, really. Do it. Pay me a lot, pay my airfare. Yeah.
Yeah. Free travel. It's not much to Seattle. And
no.
It's not a big deal.
I'll drive. Just pay for a nice hotel room. But yeah, I'm really surprised at how it happened. It took me like 4 years to write it because I was only doing it in the summer and by fits and starts. A good friend of mine, Elizabeth Whitney is her name. She's a New York City-based performance artist and educator. She and I actually went to Florida State together, and she kicks ass with the solo performance stuff. And so I got her to help me with it. She gave me some feedback and stuff, just simple things. And so she was a big influence. That first writers group, even after I left South Carolina, I would go back there and visit because that's where my family is. I would read them, drafts of it and get feedback. So that was, so it was a very nurturing kind of experience to write it. And the response I get when I do it is really overwhelming. It's like, the one memorable time was in, Placerville, California, just outside of Sacramento. A very conservative place.
I've heard of it. I swear I've heard of it.
Yeah. It's called Hangtown. It's like their logo for the city is a guy hanging from a tree. It's just, it's crazy.
Nice. Yeah.
Not really, but kind of is.
Interesting.
Just, look him up. You'd be surprised. Yeah. But anyway, there's this guy there, Gavin Sellers. I'm sure that's his name. He runs, it's called the Apple Core Fringe. And if they're still going, they did. Anyway, it was last year, I think. Anyway, so extremely conservative place. It was, and the response that I got from the audience just brought me to tears because they were so supportive. And so, but a part of me thinks that you can only have that kind of response in a place that is so conservative.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Where
interesting. Because it's so new to them, maybe.
I guess because they can because a lot of it is about being oppressed and overcoming oppression and bulliness and racism and, all that stuff. So I think when I'm perform it for people who have that direct experience in their daily life, they can appreciate it at a deeper level. If I were to do it,
I see what you mean. So, yeah.
If I were to do it in the middle of the Castro, in San Francisco, sure, a lot of men, especially the ones that are my age that grew up with that, would identify with that aspect of it. Like, hey, I overcame this too, but not, hey, I'm living this on a daily basis.
Right. Big difference, really. Yeah. Big difference.
So that was, that was very rewarding. Yeah, that was amazing experience. And it was compounded by the fact that I was, afterwards, it was a very busy day. I did like 3 or 4 shows in 2 days.
Wow.
And after that, I just wanted to go sit alone and have a beer somewhere. So I went into this bar, and there was it was right when the Kaepernick scandal thing, the guy kneeling.
Kaepernick.
Kaepernick, yeah. I don't do sports.
Apparently not. I'm a fan, especially after he did that.
Yeah. But anyway, it was right in the height of all that hubbub. And I'm sitting at this bar. There weren't very many people there. It was a biker bar, I think. And this girl sitting next to me, called him a big fag for not standing for the flag. And I was like, oh my God, I was just reminded where I am. Shit.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I left. But, because I was kind of emotionally heightened at the moment, that really kicked me in the gut. But it made me realize that, a couple hours later, I was like, that actually heightened this whole experience. It just made me realize how amazing it was that I got all the support. 2 sold out, at least 3 sold out shows. Some people coming back to see it twice.
Right.
It just made me realize how amazing that experience was, considering where I was.
Where you were, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was intense.
It's beautiful. One of my favorite parts of the story is that it took you 4 years to write. Because I just meet so many people who write, in a couple of months or a couple of weeks. They'll bang something out. And I kind of hate them.
I can't.
It's great that you stuck with it, and that it was a good experience.
That is kind of
really. It's nice.
Kind of amazing that I did stick with it that long.
Yeah.
But it was never something that I had like this hard and fast timeline for myself. I was just kind of doing it for myself, and when I think about writing another one now, I'm like, God, where will I ever find the time? So.
Right.
Even though I have 3 months off every year, I'm like...
3 months off to travel.
Such a hard life. Yeah.
It's rough. It is amazing how busy any time off becomes, though.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I have a week off coming up, and I've had 4 offers to do stuff that week, which happens every time I want to take a week off.
Yeah.
Luckily, there were things I could turn down, but it was just like, as soon as I'm going to go away for a week, take a week off.
Yeah.
Hashtag guard dog security, can't touch this place. It always happens. So I know when it seems like you have time off, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Or either, you do it to yourself. You say, I have all these projects and things I'm going to do. But you don't.
That too.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, I am going to wrap this up now because we're probably just about hot enough. It's gonna get a little hotter.
It is a little bit.
We picked the hottest day here in the inskirts of Eugene in the little castle to do a podcast. So
I hope this is the hottest day. I hope it doesn't get any worse.
Nah. It won't. Well, maybe it will. But it's not going to be hot for the next week. At least not this hot from what I can see in my crystal weather ball, which of course is never correct in Eugene or anywhere because weather changes so fast now. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was really nice. Really nice to have you. I've been talking to Brian. Damn it, Haimbach. Little like Albrecht. And we have been talking acting, writing, directing, traveling, all these different things. I'm Joel Albrecht, and this is... Were you still talking? So I will be back very soon, I hope, and be good to each other.